Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to a brand new episode of Boss Babes. I'm your host, Brittany Baldy of the Boss Babes Lifestyle Sports Podcast. Please stay with me. I have one of my good friends, Mrs. Jessica France. It's so weird to say her new last name on here because you guys know her as Jess McCain. But again, please stay with us because we are going to be talking all about marriage, her wedding, her honeymoon. Is she having babies? Is she not having babies? Are they trying to have babies? Her traveling down to Corpus Christi, down in Texas, because her, I almost said boyfriend, husband, plays professional baseball, and he's been absolutely crushing it this season. So we are going to be learning so much about Mrs. Jessica France. But before we get into that, our good friends over at Bet Online. Baseball season is in full swing, while the NBA and NHL are about to head into the playoffs. BetOnline has you covered for all of the news, scores, and odds. BetOnline is your online sportsbook experts. Get in on all of the action and take advantage of the best bonuses in the business. Sign up for a free account on the BetOnline mobile app or visit betonline.ag and use promo code CLNS50. Again, guys, that's CLNS, the number 5050. For your sign-up bonus today. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Okay, guys, so we absolutely love BetOnline. They are a sponsor of this podcast, so I super appreciate them. They are amazing. If you guys are into sports betting, watching sports, please go check them out. They will hook you up, and they have lots of awesome bonuses. My amazing friend, this is the gorgeous Mrs. Jessica McCain France. I am so freaking thrilled to have you on here. The last time we had her on, we were talking all about the fact that she had just got engaged to JP France, and there was no baseball because it was during the pandemic and all of sports had been shut down. Of course, you guys know that minor league baseball was shut down all last season. It just recently started up a couple weeks ago. So I'm so excited for Jess to be experiencing that with her husband this year. You guys recently got married. So how the heck are you? And again, thank you so much for joining me today, especially after that freaking long road trip you just did a week ago.
Yes, it was a very long trip. I'm good. I'm, just been working. I'm tired trying to get this place together. I mean, you can see boxes back there in the background. Yeah, I'm great. We did move, tomorrow will be a week that we moved. Took a 8.5, 9-hour road trip from Louisiana, packed everything up. Of course, JP was in spring training, so it was me and my in-laws. Blessed with the greatest in-laws ever. They helped me pack up my entire apartment, store some stuff away, and then drive the rest down here to meet JP.
So freaking amazing. And before Jess and I actually even started talking to you guys today on this Lifestyle Sports Podcast, her and I had a whole separate conversation about what it was like doing that long road trip with her animals, packing bare bones. She actually is calling it her skeleton crew. What it's like doing a long road trip without your husband, having him already be in the state, having your in-laws help you out, and essentially like almost kind of living out of boxes for 3 or 4 months. And I just wanted to pick her brain on it because, as you guys know, I'm going to be doing the same exact thing within the next month because my boyfriend recently was picked up by a team. We have been keeping it a little hush-hush, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I'm very excited for him. Back to Jess, I am so happy for her. Her husband has been pitching very well. We will be talking all about baseball shortly, but let's just hop right into the wedding. So Ryan and I actually attended the wedding. It was absolutely freaking gorgeous. We spent some time in Louisiana. We will talk about that as well. But Jess, first off, why did you guys choose the location of Kiln, Mississippi? Why did you guys choose that awesome location? It was absolutely breathtaking, by the way.
Well, I'm glad you thought so. I don't know. We toured a few places, and the moment that I stepped into the Barnett Love Farms, I was just so overwhelmed with this feeling of attachment. Like, I had been to so many places and so many gorgeous places, you know what I mean? You see one, you feel like you've seen them all, but stepping into the Barnett Love Farms, meeting Miss Amanda Love, I just felt connected. She was so warm and open and inviting. And I guess you just have like this bridal instinct. I don't know. It just like, when you meet the one, and you just know. When you see the venue, you just feel it. You just know. And I know that sounds crazy to feel so connected to a place, but I'm just as connected to that place now as I was before. And, Miss Amanda, she's like, come see the cats, or, come see the cows or the donkey. Or it was a farm, a barn with a farm on it. And she's so welcoming, inviting. And I just feel like we picked the perfect place.
It was such a perfect place. And as I mentioned, Ryan and I actually traveled there for their wedding. And one of my favorite parts about the whole location was that it was super intimate and gorgeous, and it was kind of chilly and rainy, and everything was so thoughtful, from the amazing charcuterie board. For those of you guys that don't know, Jess is such a foodie. She is a chef, so I freaking loved her reception while they were all taking photos and whatnot. Beautiful spread of like everything, like different types of cheeses and meats and vegetables and every type of fruit imaginable, and honey. And it was so breathtaking because that happened outside, and I loved they had an outdoor fireplace that was gorgeous. Ryan and I took a couple of photos in front of it. There's a lot of gorgeous willow trees, and I think originally, Jess, correct me if I'm wrong, they wanted to get married outside. I think they had all the benches already lined up, but because it rains that day, they decided to do the wedding indoor, which was stunning. And I'll have Jess talk all about it because, of course, it was her wedding and her big day. But when I tell you, this location couldn't have been more breathtaking, more intimate. It was like almost like secluded. So it made you feel like you were a part of her family, even if you weren't a part of her family, because it was all just very close friends, family, and it was just such an awesome, intimate setting. I loved the fact that you guys had blankets for people if they needed to, because again, it was chilly. They had freaking all you can drink drinks. They had an open bar. Loved the donut wall. So we will talk about the donut wall in a little bit. But it was just so freaking gorgeous, emotional, and intimate that I wanted you to kind of paint the picture for people a little bit more about the location and why you chose it. I know you already talked about it, but I just feel like people need to know a little bit more about this location because I thought it was so awesome and secluded.
Well, I mean, I love how you describe it. Of course, being the bride, you're stressed out, and hearing it from a guest point of view is always so awesome. As a bride, you're so stressed out, and you kind of miss some details, I feel like. I didn't even get to see the charcuterie table. I completely missed that because I was taking pictures. But I wanted the guests to have something to enjoy, and I wanted it to be personal. JP and I love, date night at home, charcuterie board, nice red wine, usually a Pinot. So that was kind of like from our home to our guests. We wanted them to experience what we feel at home, and it feels really intimate, to have a cheese board and have wine and enjoy that moment. So that's where that inspiration came from. As far as everything else, I had the most amazing planner. I literally told her, here's my Pinterest board. You do it. I'll see you on Friday. And she's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, please. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, it was so stressful. So much was going on. We moved the wedding up 10 months because, JP wanted to be married before, the end of the season in case it went longer. We were originally set for October 23rd, but we were just like, why wait? And we chose the barn, and everything just kind of fell into place. We were originally supposed to get married outside by the large oak tree. It was always my dream to be married under an oak tree with all of the pews coming down, outside. There were cows. I love cows so much. I don't know why I love cows so much. I just do. And I wanted them out in the pastures, and I just wanted it to be so open and fresh. But it poured like downfall. Like the bottom fell out at 9 o'clock, and my planner was like, "So, Jess, what's it gonna be?" I'm like, "All right, we'll do it inside." And she's like, "Okay, are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And she's like, "No, you're not one of those brides that's going to say it's fine now. And then as soon as you see a little ray of sunshine peeking through, you're just going to change the whole thing and want me to bring it back outside, are you?" She's like, "The more time I have, the more time I have to plan, make it beautiful, all of that." My goodness, she completely knocked it out of the park. It was just in my head. I wanted rustic with a little twist of glamorous. So like kind of a Midsummer Night's Dream meets I don't know, like Princess Bride. And she really just, that's what it was. We had the fairy lights. We had, the rustic charcuterie table. I even did a candy bar and hot dogs at the end. And my father-in-law, bless him, and my husband built me a 6.5 foot donut wall. All I asked for at my wedding was I want a 6 foot donut wall and I want hot dogs at the end because that's mine and my brother's thing. I can tell you about that later. And it all happens. A lot of things went crazily wrong, but everything went exactly the way it was supposed to. And it was beautiful and easy. And as Brittany said, it was absolutely gorgeous. I couldn't have planned a better wedding myself. So Deb she was my dream come true for wedding planners.
Honestly, as Jess mentioned, it was such a dream come true, and your wedding planner had everything planned down to a T, and I can say that with confidence because, again, both my boyfriend and I were there. We traveled down south for it, and I'm so happy that we did because we got to experience not only a little taste of Mississippi, but we spent about 2 or 3 days in Louisiana, which Jess and I will discuss later on. But back to the wedding, again, it was kind of rainy and chilly and cloudy, and they had so much detail, like I said, planned out. They had blankets. They had the fire going in the outdoor fireplace for people to stay warm and take photos. And one of the cool things is, too, they actually had somebody outside, like, shuttling people from where people were parking to the wedding. So it's like every little detail that could have been done was, like, down to a T, very organized, very professional, just absolutely stunning. If you guys want to see some of Jess's wedding photos, she posts them all the time up on her Facebook and Instagram. I highly suggest going to check out her wedding album because what we are talking about will make so much more sense. But I kind of want you to walk me through because I remember watching you and it almost like made me teary-eyed, or it did make me teary-eyed watching you walk down the aisle because I've known Jess for like 5 or 6 years now. And I feel like our friendship over the last year or two has gotten stronger due to the fact that we both have boyfriends that kind of are in the same field and play the same position. And her and I both have that reality TV background. Again, Jess has been on MTV's The Challenge and The Real World years ago. Watching you walk down the aisle and how gorgeous you were, I wanted to ask you, can you describe what it felt like seeing JP at the end of the aisle, like so teary-eyed himself? Like, what comes to mind?
I'll preface this. I was standing in the groom suite waiting to come out, and I kept sticking my head out. I was like standing behind the door, and my wedding planner's in the hallway. I'm like holding my dress. I'm like, hey, Deb, can I come out now? She's like, no, go back in there. I'm like, okay. Hey, Deb, is it time? No, go back in the room. I'm like, hey, is it time now? I'm like peeking around the door, holding the little door. And she's like, Jessica. And she was kind of getting getting on to me. She wasn't mad or anything. She's just like, go back inside. It's not time yet. So I was just so excited. At that point, the very start of the wedding, I just wanted everyone to be comfortable. That was my main goal. Was I don't want my guests to be uncomfortable. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I want everyone to love their dresses and feel beautiful. And so at that moment, everything just came to a head. And I finally poked my head back out there. I was like, Shelby? I was looking for my maid of honor. And then Dad goes, she's already gone. I'm like, woohoo! And it was time. I picked up my dress and I marched right there with my dad's, and I was so excited. I just couldn't wait. I wanted to run down the aisle. And nothing, like, at that point, anything that had gone wrong or not exactly the way I wanted it to, I got stuck actually on my way out the door. I almost fell backwards. And then someone stepped on my veil and pulled my hair down, and my veil came out right before I was supposed to walk down the aisle. I was like, whatever, let's go. And they're like, you're not mad. I'm like, no, I want to go. I want to go now. And just standing there at the top, at the end of the aisle, at the top of the aisle with both of my dads on my arms, I just wanted to let go and run. You grow up with your dads and they're your protectors. I have a dad and a stepdad. And, it's crazy. You look to them for everything, to protect you, to help you with your car, to do all of these things. But the moment that I saw JP, he became that. Oh, I'm going to cry.
Oh, it's like literally making me teary-eyed too.
I just seeing him at the end of the aisle, it was just so relieving. I'm trying not to cry.
I like the emotion. I love the raw emotion. You could tell how much you really love him.
Brittany, I was just so stressed out at one point, not because anything went wrong, but I can only imagine how it is having a baby and have everyone touch you every 2 seconds. Everyone was touching my hair and dress. I was like, stop touching me. I was so overwhelmed. But when I saw him standing at the end of the aisle, I couldn't wait to run to him and just feel him hold me and hug me, because I knew that everything that we had worked for, everything that we had done up to that point was all coming true. The day that we had dreamed about for so many months and worried about and stressed about, it was finally here. And it just, I can't even explain how amazing it is to go from dating 2 weeks and him telling me, his thing was forever. He said, I love you. I said, for how long? And he said, forever. And he said, I promised you that. So going from that promise from 2 weeks to, now we've been together for 2 years, and running down the aisle practically to him and holding his hand immediately was just, it was so overwhelming. And he was a mess. He was crying, and it was just beautiful. But I cried a lot.
It was so beautiful. And like I said, I think most people at weddings, they get teary-eyed, but I think me having gotten to know both you and JP, especially a lot the last year, I mean, you and I and JP, you guys came down with Ryan and I to Myrtle Beach. We spent a week together in South Carolina, like just getting to know each other and playing board games and Cards Against Humanity with his mom and dad, and laughing and joking and going to the beach together and going out to dinner. So for me, being able to get to know you so intimately this last year and a half to 2 years, and being able to see you marry your Prince Charming and seeing like the raw emotion that you have, like just even on JP, like we all know, ladies, for the ladies that are listening and for the guys that are listening to this Lifestyle Sports podcast, it's hard for most people to show emotion. And a lot of people are afraid to show emotion for whatever reason. I don't know why. More people need to start being authentic and opening up. But like just to see JP's face when he turned around and saw Jess walk down that aisle, and you could see his face like turn red because he was so like overwhelmed with probably anxiety and love and just excitement, and to see Jess the same exact way was just absolutely beautiful. Like I made sure I told Ryan, I'm like, babe, I'm getting the outside seat. I need to see my friend walk down the aisle. I'm tiny. I'm not letting anybody get in my way. So I made sure I got the outside aisle seat on purpose. How did you go about selecting your wedding dress? So Jess's wedding dress, again, for those of you guys that haven't seen photos yet, I'm going to kind of describe it, and I'll have Jess talk about it too. But it was very princess-like. Almost kind of gave me a feel of like Cinderella meets like Kate Middleton, classy. It was very like lacy. I believe it had buttons in the back. Her veil was very pretty. It kind of like hung off the shoulders in a way, but it was kind of like 3/4 length long sleeve, if I remember correctly. It was absolutely stunning. So Jess, what was the selection process like for selecting that wedding dress? Like, why did you select that dress?
So selecting my dress is much like selecting my husband. When I saw it, I knew. I was like, "Yep, that one. That's it. We can go home now." And just like I came home after my first date with JP, and I told my Mom, I found my husband. I walked into the bridal salon. There was a million dresses. I mean, there's so many beautiful dresses, but there was one dress hanging up. It was like all stuffed into the little, what do you call it, little plastic bag, like hanger bag. I was like, yep, that one. That's my dress. We can, I'm going to try it on and we can go. And my mom's like, no. My sister, my maid of honor, were like, we got to try all the dresses. I was like, all right, well, each of you pick me 5 dresses and I'll try them on, but that's my dress. They thought I was crazy. They thought I was crazy when I told them that I was going to marry JP after the first 2 days. But here we are. And that's how I picked my dress. I tried on all of the other dresses, and I liked some of them, but I hated most of them. I tried this dress on, and immediately I just cried. Like, my best friend was with me. There's a picture somewhere on the internet, and we're just like both bawling. And it's nothing like I thought I wanted. It was a ball gown. It was A-line. It was a sweetheart neckline with, it was what do you call it? Strapless, but then it had like detachable straps. And then it had these like poofy, floofy, whatever you want to call them, detachable sleeves. So they cuffed around my wrist. They buttoned with like a million buttons, which are horrible when you're nervous to try to button. And then it came up to, just above my bicep. So it was very fairy tale like, very, whimsical with that, champagne shimmery underneath. It was just beautiful and classy and sparkly. Oh, I didn't want sparkly either at first. I was like, no sparkles, no ball gowns. I don't want us to be strapless. Like all the things I said I hated, I ended up going with. And I actually put it on 2 weeks after our wedding, after we got back from our honeymoon. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I want to wear it again.
It was so beautiful, and I'm trying to figure out, so if you figure out what you're going to do with your wedding dress, send me the tips, because obviously I'm not engaged yet, so wink wink to Ryan over there. But I don't know, like, I feel like most people, they try to preserve their wedding dress and they pack it away, but I'm going to try to display it in a way where I can kind of like look at my dress. Like I've seen some people, like some NASCAR wives I've actually seen, they get it preserved in a way where they like almost put it on a mannequin and they put it inside of like a glass case, and they have lights like shooting on it, and they put it inside their like walk-in closet. So that's kind of like an idea that I've thought of. And that way it stays preserved. So say you have a daughter someday and they're kind of around the same size as you could potentially give it to them to borrow. So just a thought, if you come up with an idea on what you're going to do with your dress, please send it my way.
Well, actually, JP told me that he wants us to fit our wedding clothes when we're 70. So I now have to keep my wedding dress in wearable shape until I'm 70 because, well, my husband wants to try to fit in the clothes. And even if it just fits on my thigh when I'm 70, I will attempt to get back into that dress just for him. Originally, I wanted to actually have it cut up and made into baptismal gowns and baby blankets and things like that, like the lace and different parts of the dress. But husband wants to fit in them when we're 70, so that kind of foiled my plan there.
Do you think JP at some point wants to, I know he said hold on to it until you guys are 70 and try to fit into them again. Maybe you guys will renew your wedding vows, and maybe he'll want to try to fit into the outfits at some point, maybe for like your 40th wedding anniversary. That's kind of a neat idea too.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And honestly, it could be sooner than that, because a lot of our family actually wasn't able to come. And that's what was really sad too, is like my grandparents couldn't be there because of COVID. And a lot of our family and friends couldn't come because the fear of COVID and the restrictions, and you have to quarantine if you go back to California for 14 days. It was a lot on a lot of people. So a lot of people that wanted to be there couldn't. And I always joke with them. I'm like, hey, when you make the majors, we can get married again. Just so people can be there. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I loved being a bride. It was awesome.
So yeah, definitely hold on to that wedding dress, because we definitely want to see you guys potentially get married again, whether it be sooner rather than later for your family, or if you guys do it for like a 10th wedding anniversary or something. Mm-hmm. The dress is absolutely gorgeous. So definitely make sure you hold on to it. Let's talk about that donut wall. So I liked how earlier you described that it sounds like JP and your brother and or dads worked on that donut wall. So why did you guys create that fun wall? I'll kind of describe it for the listeners. So guys, directly behind my table, Ryan and I are big freaking foodies. So we were like, yo, we're getting our seat directly in front of that donut wall because we want to be snacking on these freaking donuts the whole night. So this donut wall was so tall. It had to have been at least like 6 or 7 feet tall. All the colors were like super bright, super playful, like pretty enough to take photos in front of it. But I don't think anybody really took photos in front of it because of the COVID. People weren't trying to like be near it unless they were actually getting a donut to eat. But one of my favorite donuts, if you guys have never been to Louisiana, if you don't know much about Mardi Gras, I learned a good amount about Mardi Gras while being in Louisiana because we were there during Mardi Gras week. So they had these donuts that were like yellow, purple, and green colored, which I thought were freaking cool because it was Mardi Gras week. So Jess, let's talk about your donut wall. Why did you guys have it? Who created it? And what was your favorite donut off that wall?
So I love donuts. I'm a big junk food junkie. And I was like, I'm a wedding. I want donuts. And they're like, okay, cool. You can have donuts. I was like, but make it a wall. They're like, okay, we can do that too. We'll do a nice little tabletop. I'm like, no. I want a 6-foot tall wall. And they're like, are you crazy? I'm like, yes, I am. And I want a donut wall. So my father-in-law, bless his soul, went to work and created this amazing donut wall. I just wanted like a plain wooden donut wall with some pegs coming out of it, you know. But then, of course, my father-in-law goes above and beyond for me every single time. He created this like 5 foot wide by 6.5 foot tall donut wall. I think it held like 130 donuts or something like that. But then he created a shelf. This thing had a full-on shelf for a whole bucket of donut holes. It was incredible. We get them from King Donuts in Mississippi. And if you don't order them ahead of time or get there before 11, they're all sold out. And when they're sold out, they close. So we ordered them a few weeks ahead of time, and they just did amazing. We had them all different colors. They even did my favorite blueberry donuts. So those are absolutely to die for, and those are my favorite. I like the ice-colored pretty one too, but blueberry cake is always my fave.
And did you guys actually keep this donut wall, or did you guys end up leaving it there? Because if it's custom made, I feel like you can almost like take it home with you and use it as some type of a like memory. Like you could put photos on it, or maybe turn it into a game for your future kids where they toss toys on it or donuts on it or whatever the heck they want to toss on it. Did you guys keep the wall or no?
Yeah, actually we did. We still have it. It's sitting over my in-laws, their lake home. They have a house on the river out in Mississippi. So it's stored there for now. My father-in-law probably wants me to burn it for firewood or something to get it out of his storage space, but it is there and we don't know what to do with it yet.
You guys are now listening to my good friend, Mrs. Jessica France, formerly known as Jessica McCain. You guys know her from MTV's The Real World and The Challenge. She is no longer doing reality TV. She is now hopefully going to be a mama sooner than later. She is now a MiLB baseball wife, and she is currently in Texas as we speak. She just recently did a freaking long road trip with her in-laws. They helped her move in, and we are now talking all about her gorgeous, stunning wedding. She recently got married right around Valentine's Day of this most recent year, 2021. My boyfriend and I were both in attendance there. Wedding was absolutely stunning. So I do want to talk about this wedding a little bit more, and then we are going to learn a little bit about her honeymoon because they went to Hawaii. But I want to talk about your dinner selection. So her dinner selection was actually super freaking awesome. I loved it because it had like a little bit of a Southern flair to it. So when I was down south, again, obviously I'm not from the South, but I date somebody from the South. He's from North Carolina. And I've been loosely getting introduced to things like barbecue and brisket and stuff like that. Obviously, I eat that stuff up north as well, but it's a lot different here. But Jess actually had like gumbo and stuff at her wedding. So Jess, let's talk about your dinner selection. Why did you choose that dinner selection? And yeah, let's just talk about that whole process because I fully like that you guys have the Southern flair to it.
Choosing the menu was so tough. Like there's so many amazing things that we wanted to do, and we just kept going through it and through it and through it. And we're like, I mean, we had this big menu planned out. I mean, we had the catering bill racked up so high. Like, this is ridiculous. We got to cut it down. We got to do a meat and potato, a vegetarian option, and then, you know, let's do something that gives it that, you know, deep South feel. So, you know, we did the meat and the vegetable and the potato. And then we did the gumbo. And I love gumbo. Gumbo is like my favorite, especially my mother-in-law's gumbo. Oh my gosh, it's to die for. She spoils me and makes me a whole like gallon of it every so often. But yeah, you know, like you were talking about details. We really wanted everyone to feel comfortable, so comfort food. And we really wanted everyone to get a taste of us. We wanted to be in every little part of our wedding. So from donuts being my favorite to having gumbo at the, you know, the reception, to having specialized drinks for, you know, the bride's drink and the groom's drink. We really wanted to personalize it and bring that comfort and love to everyone. So that's where, you know, that gumbo came from. That's where that Southern comfort food came from. That's where our candy bar came from, because I'm a junk food junkie. I'm the whole reason there was hot dogs and donuts and candy everywhere.
And speaking of the customization, as you were describing everything, it actually made me think of, not only did they have a stunning, gorgeous wedding cake that they obviously cut into, it was very classy and beautiful, but it looked like JP and his groomsmen had their own custom cake as well. And their cake looked like some type of like a reindeer head, like it had antlers. And I think that's because, for those of you who don't know who JP France is, he's absolutely amazing. And again, he's involved in the baseball world, just like my boyfriend is, but he loves to go hunting. So I would assume that those antlers and that whole cake was for him. So we talk about that cake a little bit. I thought that was super freaking cool. And what sparked his interest in wanting to have that separate cake from the actual wedding cake?
So it's traditional sometimes for them to do a groom's cake. It's, typically the bride picks out the wedding cake and the groom gets his own little groom's cake. JP picked out both. He wanted a naked cake, and so he designed both the cakes. I was like, I just want to eat. So he did a beautiful job, picking out both of them. And his nanny, Trudy, she does a phenomenal job with cakes. I mean, her cake, I don't even like cake. I don't really like birthday cake. It's not my thing. I was literally grabbing handfuls and eating my wedding cake before they served it. So they had to take that layer away because I stuck my hands in it. But yeah, his nanny, Trudy France, makes the most incredible cakes.
Oh, wait, what? So she made your cakes? We might actually have to have her make our future wedding cake. That's freaking cool. Does she own her own bakery?
She does it as a hobby. She does it out of her house as a hobby. She has an Instagram. I think it's like Trudy's Cakes. And she makes it. I mean, you should see some of the stuff she does. Like, she's done like a floating champagne bottle pouring into a glass with little caviar. But, it's insane, the stuff she does. So she made JP that tree stump. She made it out of cake and Rice Krispies and chocolate because that's what he wanted. And it looked like a tree stump, and it had deer antlers coming out of it. I mean, this cake was probably like 2 feet tall. It was huge. And she did all of it was edible. The antlers were edible, everything. And she custom painted it, and it looked just like a tree stump. It blew our mind. And then, of course, Deb, the fabulous wedding planner, went and decorated hunting stuff all over and just made it its own little corner. It was really cool. I mean, there's pictures of it probably all over, but yeah, Trudy's Cakes, if you want to see it on Instagram, she has them up there. So
I knew that it was edible because at one point Ryan and I were like dancing and doing our own thing and hanging out, and all of a sudden you see one of the groomsmen just like walk over, take one of the antlers, and they start munching on it. And I'm like, dude, is that edible, or is he that drunk where he doesn't know if it's edible or not? But I'm glad that you answered that question for us.
Both.
And I wanted to ask you before we kind of move on from wedding talk, because we've been talking about it for a good amount of time, but I feel like we had to spend a lot of time talking about it because, again, guys, for those of you that are listening and listen to, this is the third time that Jess has been on my podcast. And again, we are good friends, so I love having her on here because not only do I get to catch up with her, but it's a way for you guys to kind of keep up with her life. And the first time she came on, it was just her talking about reality TV and like her whole journey with like becoming a chef and growing up in North Carolina and traveling and like sort of being like an army brat and whatnot with her parents. And the second episode was all about, holy crap, there's a pandemic. They were raising chickens together, her and JP. She wasn't even really engaged yet, or they had just talked about getting engaged. And so I had Jess on here a number of times. So that's why I was like, girl, you got to get on here. We got to talk about the wedding. We got to talk about the honeymoon. So let's talk about your first dance. Your first dance was beautiful. It was breathtaking. What song did you guys dance to? And what were some of the emotions like with your new husband to your song that you probably chose?
We actually chose it together. We went through so many songs, and I can't even remember the name of it. I don't remember what it's called. That's so terrible how I don't remember my own wedding song.
Well, I do remember you having, and I don't know if this was your first dance song, but I think from this moment.
Yeah, I could not ask for more.
Is it a Shania Twain song, I believe?
Originally by Edwin McCain. That's the version we wanted, but they only had Shania, so it was a surprise to us when Shania came over, but I love Shania Twain, so I could not ask for more.
Oh, yeah, and I could not ask for more.
Yeah, so that was our first dance song, and funny enough, they couldn't find his version. They played Shania, but I walked down the aisle to From This Moment On by Shania Twain as well. So, or was it Sarah Evans that sing? I don't know. I'm so bad with titles and names of artists. It's terrible. but I know the lyrics. But yeah, that's a song that one day we were just laying in bed and it just came on and I started crying. And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "I never imagined my life could be this beautiful. I never imagined that I could love somebody as much as I love you." And he looked at me and he had tears in his eyes and I was crying. And so when we started listening to wedding songs again, I heard that song and it just took us back to a place where it was just the two of us just laying there in pure happiness. Everything was calm and it just felt like it just felt right. It just felt like that was the song.
Beautiful. I'm so happy that you were able to describe that to the listeners. You guys are now listening to the Boss Babes Lifestyle Sports Podcast. I am so thrilled to have on Mrs. Jessica France here with me. We are going to wrap up wedding talk because for the last 30 minutes, we have been discussing everything wedding related and the South because Jess is actually from the South or spent a good amount of time in the South. I wanted to talk very briefly about Ryan and I's trip to Louisiana. So Ryan and I decided we actually have a whole vlog on it. It's awesome. It's up on the Boss Babes YouTube channel, believe it or not. So if you guys are interested and you want to see visually what we did, but Ryan and I went down to Louisiana for 3 or 4 days. We spent a good amount of time learning about Mardi Gras, and he took me to a bunch of awesome dinners. I tried gumbo and whatnot down there as well. I actually picked up a really freaking cool gold, silver, and baby blue or powder blue mask, like a Mardi Gras mask. I can't wait to hang it up in our future house. We ate at a bunch of awesome restaurants. One of our favorite brunch places was called the Ruby Slipper. We stayed at a place called the Moxie Hotel. It was kind of like swanky and chic and very I would say it's minimalistic in the sense that you walk in and there's kind of just like a bed and it's very nicely put together, but it's like a place that you just go to if you're just trying to spend like a night or two and you're going to be out on the road most of the time because there's really no like places to hang up your clothing or anything. It's like meant for young people just to kind of sleep there and have a nice place to hang out and go to the bar, but mainly be out on the road. We also did a gator swamp tour. We are freaking bummed out because it was cold out, it was rainy, but I was like, dude, who knows when the hell we're going to do a freaking gator swamp tour again. So we did it. We didn't see any gators, but it was still kind of interesting. So Jess, let me ask you, what's your take on Louisiana? Because I know you and JP lived there for a good chunk of time as well.
I don't know, really. It's home on the off season. We don't really go anywhere. That's the thing is like, we're homebodies, so we stay home a lot. JP doesn't really like going into the city. I did have my first Mardi Gras year before last, but JP's not into going in public. He does not like going into the city, so I don't really get to experience that too much. He's always for safety reasons. He doesn't want to go downtown at night and all that, and with the crazy crowds. I always tease him. I'm like, you're an old man. You're no fun.
Well, nonetheless, even though you guys, I guess, don't explore that much, Ryan and I tried to explore what we could in that matter of 3 or 4 days, but we did have a fantastic time. And again, if you guys are interested, please go check out the vlog. It's on the Boss Babes YouTube page. Really quickly, I'm going to pop up this phone number. These are our good friends at Green Team Junk Removal. Please call 508-361-0519. Again, guys, 508-361-0519. They're called Green Team Junk Removal. They are out of Massachusetts. I'm really good friends with the owner, Fred Cullen. If you guys need any items removed from your home, your office, school, any place that you work at, whether it's a at-home location or a place that you work at, you could call them. They will haul away all of your items in an eco-friendly manner, very affordable. A lot of their stuff actually gets donated to places like Habitat for Humanity, and they are 100% following COVID protocol, so you will be taken care of safely, of course. And again, it's just an awesome family-owned company, 508-361-0519. They are called Green Team Junk Removal, and if you need anything hauled away, hit them up. Fred Cullen is awesome, and he will show up, again, fully ready to haul away your stuff in an eco-friendly manner. Nothing ends up in a landfill, and most of the stuff actually gets donated to a good cause. So we're going to hop back in with Mrs. Jessica France. Honeymoon. We talked all about the wedding for a good chunk of time. You guys went to Hawaii. I know that you guys went fishing. You went ziplining. You spent time at the beach. You guys even caught some fish and it looks like ate your own fresh sushi. So, Jess, how the heck was the honeymoon? How long were you guys there for? And why did you guys choose Hawaii out of all places that you could have went to?
Well, we debated for a while of where we're going to go. JP doesn't have a passport, so we couldn't go anywhere overseas or anything like that. He doesn't have much of an interest right now in doing that, unfortunately. So I wanted to go somewhere tropical, and I was like, what about Hawaii? We've never been there. I've never been there. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So I spent many weeks planning. I think I spent more time planning my honeymoon than I even did my wedding. We did a lot. To say we did everything would probably be more accurate. Fast forward to after the honeymoon, JP said, babe, that was the most perfect trip ever. He said, you just forgot one thing. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, one thing? What did I forget? Literally, we were just busy nonstop. He goes, you forgot to schedule sleep. And when I say I forgot to schedule sleep, mornings start early over in Hawaii. It just does. Everything starts like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Every morning we were up by 5:30 and going. It took us 8 hours plus to get there, flying, driving. We rented a Camaro? We rented a convertible Camaro, got to see all the beautiful things. We did everything from snorkeling over in, on the Lanakai. We went snorkeling around this crater with sea turtles and like clear water, like jumped off the boat. We did, they had a water slide. We literally, we went to the top of our hotel and we did a tour of the stars with a NASA astronomer. I surprised JP with a deep sea sport fishing trip. And we did catch the biggest tuna I've ever seen in my life. And the boat captain just cut it all right up, put it on a plate, and let us eat it right off the boat. We did. He even got a tattoo. He even got a tattoo on our honeymoon. He actually tattooed my first initial on his ring finger in the shape of a Maui hook. We just thought that was super cool and more manly than the little cursive J's or whatnot. We got massages at the Ritz. We went to the beach. We literally went and did everything. We planted trees at the old Dole pineapple plant. They, went in and cleared everything out once that plantation was pulled up, and now they're starting to actually replant things up there. So we went on a 4x4 tour and, rode the little carts all through the rain and mud, and then we got to plant something and give back to some place that was so beautiful and is now so special to us. Drinks, poolside, you name it, we did it, and it was an incredible 6 days.
It sounds like you had so many top memories because that was going to be my next question. What are some of your top memories? But you kind of already answered all of it for me. Like, that sounds like a vacation of all vacations. I almost want to be like, hey, babe, I know we're not engaged yet. I know we have no honeymoons to plan, but off season, wink, wink, like, let's go plan something tropical. Him and I have actually been around about potentially going to Costa Rica or something. So maybe we can invite you guys and we can do like a couples trip in the off season. But it sounds like you guys had such a fantastic time in Hawaii. I know that you guys probably couldn't stay as long as you wanted to because JP also had you get back and start training for baseball. Stick with us, guys. We are now talking to Mrs. Jessica France, formerly known as Jessica McCain, and we are discussing wedding. We are now discussing her honeymoon. They went to Hawaii. They did a ton of fun excursions. They freaking caught their own tuna. It got chopped up. They ate it right there. I remember seeing the photos and I was like, oh my gosh, that looks freaking delicious. Where did you guys stay? Like, what hotel did you guys stay at? Was it like an all-inclusive situation, or what was that setup like?
So that was hard to find. This is all inclusive. It was so difficult. So I definitely recommend doing your research and setting it all up yourself. So you're free to do whatever you want. We stayed at the Hyatt. It was so incredible. They had penguins. They have little tropical penguins that are actually in the lobby and talking parrots. And the drinks are incredible. I got this big pineapple drink, and it was a pineapple sweet tea cocktail. They have an amazing sushi restaurant there. The Hyatt was so good to us. I can't wait to go back to the Hyatt and stay there again. Hopefully next year. But who knows? But yeah, It was, affordable. It was cozy. It was luxurious. It was absolutely everything that we needed.
Well, now that we are on the topic of honeymooning, babies, when can we start seeing babies? And we obviously won't get too intimate about it, but are you guys sort of trying to plan it? Are you guys going to let it happen when it happens? Is it even on the brain? Because he's obviously playing baseball, so maybe you guys don't want kids just yet. What's your plan for kids if you guys even want any children? Because not everybody wants kids.
Honestly, right now we're playing baby roulette. We're having fun practicing. If it happens, it happens. I mean, you could try to plan it, but neither one of us want to be stressed out. And with baseball and all the craziness, it's not something we're like obsessing over and trying to make happen right away. We're just enjoying each other, enjoying our marriage. And if, as I said the other day, if a little crumb snatcher decides to crash the party, then so be it. Two will become three, and three is a party. So
super adorable.
Fingers crossed, though.
Fingers crossed. That's super freaking adorable. Do you guys prefer a boy or a girl, or do you want twins? You guys have some like names picked out. I'm sure you don't want to share any of your names because a lot of people don't like to give their names out right away. But do you have any preference on boy or girl? Would you like twins? What's the deal?
Twins would be nice so I could just get it over with in one clean shot, and not have to drag it out across a couple of pregnancies. But I don't know how JP would feel about that. I do know, he said the other day to me, I said, "Hey, what's your biggest dream in life?" He goes, "Well, I have two." I was like, "Okay, well, what are they?" We're just talking. He said, "Of course, I want to play Major League Baseball." He goes, "But I want to be a dad." Oh, girl. I burst into tears. I was like, "You want to be a daddy?" He said, "More than anything, I want to be a dad." So, of course, he wants a boy. Of course, I want a boy. I mean, if my first child's a girl, I'd probably only have one because I was such a pain in the butt. Hoping for a girl, if I could have twin boys first, that would be amazing. And then just have my little girl next. I want three, God willing. But right now, we do have names picked out. I've had names picked out for a while. We have our names. We're just waiting for the baby to come along, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
But it's one of those things where like you live and you learn. And I feel like God truly sends you your person when you are physically, emotionally, and spiritually ready for him. And I feel like Ryan, for me, is that man. And it took me a long freaking time to find that guy. And I feel like the same exact for you, because you could just like see it in our emotions and when we hang out with them. It's just such a beautiful bond. And I truly am so happy for the both of you. And I can't wait for you to have kids because I'm sure our kids will grow up and become friends and all of the things. But let's switch on over to baseball. So again, guys, we've kind of been, we're going to switch on over to baseball. For those of you guys that don't know, and I've been obviously talking about it off and on, Jess's husband, I know I keep wanting to say boyfriend because they are still fairly newly married, but Jess's husband, JP France, is actually a baseball pitcher. He is doing very well actually this season. I know that they've only had a couple games, but I've been keeping up what he is doing through Jess's Instagram and kind of like creeping around, seeing what they're doing, just like I do the same with my boyfriend as well. You can just do a quick Google search and see what's going on. But the minor leagues recently came back a little over a couple weeks ago. Due to the pandemic, there was no minor leagues at all. No AA, no single A, no AAA, no nothing last season. So I'm very happy for the MiLB to be back because that allows people like JP, people like my boyfriend, people to have jobs and to chase their dream again. So I'm so happy for that. And first off, I want to congratulate you and JP, Jess, for being able to stay with the team, especially throughout the pandemic, because that was one of the most difficult situations. JP is actually a pitcher in the Houston Astros organization. So who exactly is he playing for? And again, we already discussed it, but I know that you just took a road trip down to Corpus Christi, and we already kind of discussed that road trip. But how's it being in Corpus Christi and attending some of his games so far?
So far, it's been great. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to be there when he's pitching live. I do catch it on my phone. I do watch that first pitch at, like, I'm glued to it every time he's pitching. His first outing was absolutely phenomenal. He really went out there. He was hungry for it and showed what he's got. He's so talented. He is so capable. And I'm just so excited for him. This year he's come back. He's leaner. He's more motivated. He's worked with a trainer. He's tuned up his diet. He's learned how to eat, learned how to fuel his body in a way that makes him feel incredible. And there's so many, like, he's overcome so much in this off season. It's so beautiful to see him just get out there and get after it again. And I don't know, I'm so emotional. And chase his dream that he's worked so hard for, because off season was so hard for these guys, and I don't think people realize like how tough it actually is. When they're stuck inside and they don't have anybody to throw with, and everyone's getting calls about, hey man, sorry, your time's up. And I remember waiting, and it was waiting and waiting. I'm like praying, God, please just give them another chance. God, please just give us one more chance for this next season. Don't let it be us. It sucks when your friends get released, but I was just like, please don't let it be us. And it came in the room. He's like, babe, I got a phone call. And he told me, expect an email, you're good to go. And we celebrated. And it was insanely amazing. But then we found out that the Woodpeckers, the high A he was on, was moving to Asheville, and they became the tourists. So we're like, okay, maybe we'll go there. And then when he got the call that we, sorry, he got the call that we were going to Corpus, we all celebrated. We were screaming and shouting and cheering because, for those of you who don't know, Corpus is a step up. It is the double A here in Corpus Christi for the Houston Astros organization. And it's another step forward for us. It just showed him and everyone that his hard work over this off season, he chose to get better, really and truly paid off.
That is so beautiful, and I love hearing it from you because I essentially went through the same thing, and that's why I keep saying it, but I feel like you and I got closer this past year because you and I were always like, hey, did you hear anything about JP? Hey, what's going on with you and Ryan? Hey, did he get a call? How is the training going? And to see these guys have to train and practice on their own, like, and to see them being able to play again is just like literally outstanding. And I'm at a loss for words. When he got his call recently, I was just like, holy cow, I am so freaking happy. And just following your whole journey. I mean, because I text you all the time. I'm like, Jess, congratulations. Like, where are you going? Maybe I can bump into you and see what's going on at some point. So I feel like the whole baseball community and the whole like reality TV community, it's almost like our own little like sisterhood and brotherhood. And I'm grateful again, not only getting to know you better, but watching your journey unfold, especially as a baseball wife. You kind of talked about a lot of the games you've been watching through the baseball app, but do you plan on going to a lot of the home stadium games when you're allowed to?
Oh, absolutely. So right now there's no restrictions down here other than, wearing a mask to the stadium. You can take it off when you're in your seat and everything. But I go to as many as I can because that's the only time I get to spend time with him. Even if it's just, sitting up there in the stands, getting awkward tan lines and staring at the back of his head. It makes me happy just to be close to him, even though he's not playing, letting him know that I'm there, that I'm supporting him, no matter how hot and miserable it can be. I just show up. I show up for him every opportunity that I get to let him know, I know this journey is hard and the MLB grind is tough, but he's not alone. And to be honest with you, the MILB grind is rough for these guys, but wives aren't exempt from that, and I just want to support him every way I can. So if it means baking in the sun and sitting up there in the stands waiting for a wave or staring at the back of his head, he knows that I'm there with him and that we're in this together.
Speaking of being a baseball wife, let's talk about some fun. What do you like to wear when you go to the games? Do you like to customize your outfits? Do you like to get stuff made up with his last name on the back? What are some fun baseball wife tips that you can give to the listeners and maybe people like myself that haven't experienced a baseball season yet?
First thing I will say, baseball-wise, is make sure you have a weather app. And if you're going somewhere, make sure you have sunscreen, even if you think you don't need it. I am Hispanic, and I burned I say burned, I tanned, but it looks like a dark brown burn through my jeans this past Sunday because I had little tears in my jeans. And I wish I could show you, but I'm wearing leggings. I burned stripes into my legs because I didn't put sunscreen. And some girl says, "Oh yeah, you gotta put sunscreen like lotion on when you get out of the shower, or else you're gonna have really weird tan lines all the time." So bring sunscreen, even if you think you don't need it. Always have a stadium bag ready to go, whether that means a clear bag or a small bag. Check the restrictions before you go to the field there, so you can make sure you're not bringing the wrong size bag, because nobody likes to make that trek back to the car to put their bag away. Clothing. I have a jacket that I made, I guess almost 2 years ago now. His first season that we were together. I put his name on the back, and I started off on the left sleeve. I put his Fayetteville patch. And I said, for every time you move up, I will put that patch on my jacket down my sleeve. And so getting to put that Hooks patch on my sleeve, I haven't done it yet, but, getting to buy that Hooks patch to put on my sleeve, it was just such a great moment. And I actually got a little pin, and I stuck it in the lapel of my jacket. So I decorate my jacket for all of his achievements. And every time he moves up, I keep it there. I wanted to start like a strike count on the edge of my jacket, but I might run out of space for that here soon. So I had to make a decision there. I bought a cute little baby blue crop top because he plays for the Hooks. And on Tuesday when he pitches again, I'm going to actually have a cricket. So I'm going to heat press his number on the back of it and his last name, or our last name now, the number 14 in France on the back, and then Mrs. on the front. So it could be cute and festive and supportive.
That is so cute. I love the idea of having the patches, and kind of every time he moves up, you're kind of just, instead of buying new items or making new items, just adding to it. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I recently said to Ryan's parents, I wonder if they sell items that incorporate both teams, like the AAA and the big league team. That way I'm not having to buy like a ton of stuff, because I mean, it's cool to have things as just like a memory and memorabilia, but these guys move around sometimes very often. So it's almost like having one item and just adding to it, like you're talking about, like adding a patch or adding a sticker or strike count or whatever the heck you're doing to keep it customized, is actually a very smart idea. I might actually have to look into that. Those are some excellent tips for those of you guys that are listening, whether you're a baseball wife, girlfriend, or just going to some games this year. Customize your outfit, look cute, bring a stadium ready bag, because there are stadium restrictions, of course. You're probably going to have a mask or be vaccinated, or one or the other. So check out their restrictions and wear sunscreen. I'm going to be wearing probably a sunscreen, bringing a light jacket at all times, and most likely wearing a hat to shield my face, especially sitting out there in the sun all day. Definitely a smart move. So let me ask you this last baseball question. What are you hoping for this upcoming season? Like, what are your ultimate goals and wishes, both for you guys as a couple and maybe even JP individually?
I mean, of course, every baseball wife wants to see her husband move up. Unfortunately, that was taken far away from me, but I knew that when I moved here with him, this season, that could be a possibility. And every day, every game, I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm pulling for him. I'm praying. I want to see him live his dream. I want to see him succeed. I want to see him move up. I want to see him be that gritty pitcher that he is. I want to see him dig deep down and throw that ball with everything that he's got every single time. I want to watch him grow. I want to watch him get better. I want to watch him celebrate himself and be happy and, celebrate with his team. He has such a great group of guys with him right now, and watching him form those bonds and, getting to know the wives and girlfriends. It's so awesome. So for me, I'm building those relationships with these beautiful, wonderful, hardworking women. And then I get to see him, curate a group of wholesome friends. They become more than teammates. It's all about baseball, of course, but it becomes more, than baseball when you're going through this crazy lifestyle. So for him, growth, movement, improvement. You always want them to get better. And for me, just friendship and just, I guess, spiritual understanding and connection through this journey too.
Well, best of luck to the both of you guys. And I know you and I will be keeping in touch throughout the whole season, which I am, again, so freaking thrilled that you guys are crushing it this year already. And what else do you have going on this season, whether it be you making plans to go out with some of the other wives and girlfriends? Do you and JP have any like off day exploring in Texas that you guys plan on doing? What are your thoughts on essentially getting to know Texas a little bit more outside of the sport of baseball as well?
Well, we've been apart for this week. I'll make it 7 weeks. We've seen each other for 2 days in 7 weeks. So I'm really looking forward to get to know the inside of my apartment. Having him home and helping me get all this stuff set up. But I'm also looking forward to going to the beach and, hopefully if there's fishing to be done, do some fishing or go to the aquarium. There's a lot to do around here from what I hear. And I'm just really looking forward to being with my husband again, to be honest with you.
Excellent answer. Excellent answer. And positive pop before we wrap up the show. Positive pop, girl. What is your positive pop to close out the show? And where can people find you on social media?
I should know this, but I've changed it. So I think it's still the same. Oh, yeah. So my Instagram is actually the Jess McCain, MCCAIN. Have not changed that. Or Jessica France. The second question was?
Your positive pop for the night.
Pop. Embrace change because it never stops. And if you try to push against it or stop it or resist it, it's never good. So, embrace the change is a very beautiful thing.
Could not agree anymore with that statement. Embrace the change, especially in an environment and a career path like our husbands / boyfriends are in. So I just wanted to, again, thank you so much, Jess, for coming on the Boss Babes Lifestyle Sports Podcast. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are incredible. I have a lot more great episodes coming out. I drop at least 4 episodes a month. And we have so many great special guests on here, whether they are reality TV competitors, athletes' wives and girlfriends like Jess, or even pro athletes themselves. We have a number of fantastic guests on the show. So, Jess, again, thank you so much. I look forward to keeping in touch with you. And listeners, again, you rock.